All right, guys, I went 4-1 on my personal sports bets on patreon.com/BrockPage yesterday. But before we get into that, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to the video here today for Thursday, July 14th, 2022. My name is Brock Page, and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. I also sell my personal bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. I'm currently 2-0 in my last two $1.99 daily best plays on that website. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my webpage. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side, and total. What I do on my website is actually share with you which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to take a look at the Buccos taking on the Fish, 12:10 p.m. East. The Miami Marlins are minus 175, total 7.5. Braxton Garrett for Miami, Zach Thompson for Pittsburgh. Now, Thompson's had a rough year for the Buccos, 3-6 record and an ERA above 4. The righty's also got himself a 1.43 whip, as the Pirates are playing their worst baseball on the road. Now, when it comes to offensive production, this is actually one of the worst lineups in the National League right now. These guys are nearly dead last in the entire league in team batting average, and they're also averaging less than 3.8 runs per contest. They're squaring off against a Miami team who has a winning record at home, and they also rank in the top 5 in fewest runs allowed in their own building. Now, total-wise, 4 out of Miami's last 5 at Lone Depot Park fell under the number. They're also 70% to the under in their last 10 outings at any location. Meanwhile, the Pirates on the other side, they went 6-2 to the under in their last 8 away from home. I'm going to lean toward Miami minus 175 and the under 7.5. Next ball game, Padres, Rockies, 3:10 p.m. East. San Diego's minus 135, totals 11.5. Blake Snell for San Diego, Kyle Freeland for Colorado. Now, Freeland's lost 7 games already, and he's got an ERA slowly approaching 5. He's also backed by Rockies hitters who struggle hitting for power. These guys are actually in the bottom 10 in the bigs right now in home runs per contest. Kind of surprising considering during that high elevation. Now, they're taking on Blake Snell, who still strikes guys out despite his current season. Snell's got 61 Ks in just 46-plus innings. Meanwhile, the Pods at the plate are arguably the best road-hitting team in the game right now. Manny Machado's leading the club in batting average and runs batted in. Meanwhile, Jake Cronenworth is right behind him with 47 runs batted in on the season. Now, total-wise, oddly enough, San Diego's 14-8 to the under in their divisional road games. Meanwhile, Colorado's gone 23-15 to the under against the NL West themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Padres minus 135 and the under 11.5. Next ball game, Braves, Nationals, 7:05 East. Atlanta's minus 230, totals 9.5. Kyle Wright for Atlanta, Anibal Sanchez for Washington. Now, Sanchez is making his season debut for Washington, and it really couldn't come at a worse time. The Nats lost their last 6 straight, and they're officially 30 games below 500. Now, they're taking on an Atlanta team who won 7 out of their last 10, and they really like to pound the baseball. Austin Riley leads the club in homers and RBI. He's actually 4th in the league with 25 home runs. Meanwhile, Dansby Swanson's batting nearly 300 at the dish. He's the team leader in batting average. And even if the Braves can't hit in this one, they've got a real good one in Kyle Wright on the mound here today. Wright's got double-digit victories on the season already, along with 103 strikeouts. Now, the righty's also got a sub-3 ERA and a 1.16 whip. When it comes to the total in this one, 7 out of these teams' last 10 meetings got over the number. The Braves are also 10-3 to the over in their last 13 divisional road games. I'm going to lean toward Atlanta minus 1.5 and the over 9.5 runs. Next contest, it is going to be Reds taking on the Yankees. And that's going to be a 7:05 Eastern first pitch in the Bronx. The Yankees are minus 215, totals 8. Nestor Cortes for New York, Luis Castillo for Cincinnati. And even though Luis has shown some really good stuff, he comes into today's contest with just 3 wins on the year. Castillo's also got a losing record on the season as well. His Reds lineup also has a tough time making contact with the baseball. They're currently in the bottom 5 in strikeouts at the dish, bottom 10 in team OPS. Now, they're also going up against Nestor Cortes, who's been an absolute machine this year. He's 7-3 with a 2.74 ERA and a 1.03 whip. Cortes is also averaging over a strikeout an inning. And even if for some reason Cortes has a rough outing here today, the Yankees are going to be in it. They're always in it because they have the most dangerous lineup in baseball. These guys lead the league in scoring, OPS, and home runs. And speaking of homers, Aaron Judge has hit a league best 30 of them, along with 65 runs batted in. Meanwhile, teammates Giancarlo Stanton and Anthony Rizzo, they've combined for 45 total home runs between the two of them. Now, when it comes to the number, the Yankees saw 6 out of their last 10 ball games get over the total. They're also averaging nearly 5.5 runs a game in their last 10 meetings with Cincinnati. So if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. I'm going to lean toward the Yankees minus 1.5 and the over 8. Next ball game, Royals, Blue Jays, 7:07 Eastern start time. This game's currently off the board. Kevin Gausman possible for Toronto. Jackson Kowar maybe for Kansas City. But regardless of who hurls the first pitch out for the Royals, these guys have been bad on the road. Winners of just 16 out of 42 while traveling. Bottom 5 in runs per game at the plate. They're taking on Kevin Gausman, who's got 100 strikeouts and a 2.86 ERA. Now, Gausman's also backed by a Toronto lineup who has little problem getting on base. These guys are currently leading the majors in team batting average. And they've also got Alejandro Kirk, who's hitting .312. Now, obviously, Vlad Guerrero Jr., he's the team leader in homers and RBI. Vladdy's hit 20 bombs thus far in the year. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Toronto winning that game outright for some money line cash. All right, next contest I have for you, it is going to be Red Sox Rays 7:10 East. Tampa Bay is minus $1.25, total 7.5. Drew Rasmussen for Tampa Bay. Cutter Crawford for Boston. Now, the Cut Man's got a couple of wins on the year through just 30 innings of work. He's also fanned 38 batters already during that short time frame. So this is a guy who can certainly keep you in a ball game here. And even if Cutter does end up getting into some trouble here today, the Red Sox are actually tied with the Blue Jays for the league lead in team batting average. I believe both teams are hitting .260 collectively as a team. Now, Rafi Devers, he's hitting .325 at the dish. Bogarts and Martinez right behind him with batting averages in the low 300s. The Red Sox are taking on a Tampa team who really struggles at the plate. They're currently in the bottom 10 in scoring, bottom 10 in team batting average. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, Tampa Bay is 14-5 to the under against the AL East at home. Excuse me. Meanwhile, Boston on the other side, they are 13-6 to the under in their divisional road games. I'm going to lean toward Boston plus 105 and the under 7.5. Next ball game, it is going to be Tigers Guardians 7:10 Eastern start time. Cleveland's minus 240, totals 8.5. Tristan McKenzie for Cleveland, Elvin Rodriguez for Detroit. And even though Rodriguez stinks, he does have 16 strikeouts in 20-plus innings. The Tigers also have a winning record against the run line when they travel. And their pitching staff right now is currently in the top 3 in fewest hits allowed on the road. They're taking on a Cleveland lineup who struggles hitting for power themselves. These guys are nearly dead last in the bigs right now in homers per contest. They're also having a tough time getting the W for Tristan McKenzie. The righty's just 6-6 on the year despite how good his stuff's been. When it comes to the total in this one, 3 out of Cleveland's last 4 at Progressive Field fell under the number. They're also 23-16 to the under against the AL Central. Meanwhile, Detroit on the other side, they've gone 13-6 to the under in their divisional road games. I'm going to lean toward the Tigers plus 1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. Next game. It is going to be Dodgers Cardinals 7:15 East. The LA Dodgers are minus 160, totals 9. Tyler Anderson for Los Angeles. Dakota Hudson for St. Louis. Now Hudson comes into today's game with an ERA of 4 flat. He's also had significant control issues. He's got 41 walks compared to just 50 strikeouts, along with a 1.38 whip. Now he's taking on a Dodger lineup who's arguably the best in the National League. They're actually leading the NL right now in scoring, top 3 in the bigs in OPS. Mookie Betts has 20 home runs on the year. Freddie Freeman's batting .317. The Dodgers also have starting pitcher Tyler Anderson on the mound here today, who's been very solid all year long. He's 9-1 with a .315 ERA and a 1.03 whip. When it comes to the total in this one, 7 out of the Dodgers' last 10 ball games fell under the number. Meanwhile, St. Louis went 80% to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Dodgers minus 1.5 and the under 9. Next ball game, White Sox Twins 7:40 East. Minnesota's minus 150, totals 8.5. Sonny Gray for the Twins, Johnny Cueto for Chicago. Now, Cueto has shown some pretty good stuff this season. He's got a .291 ERA and a 1.15 whip. The Sox have also won 4 out of their last 6, and they scored 21 total runs in those victories. Jose Abreu's the team leader in batting average. He's hitting just about .300 at the dish. Meanwhile, Luis Robert has a team-leading 49 runs batted in. They're taking on a Minnesota club who dropped 4 out of their last 6 themselves. This Minnesota pitching staff also allowed 7.5 runs a game in those losses during that span I just mentioned. Now, when it comes to the number in this one, oddly enough, Minnesota saw their last 4 straight at Target Field fall under the line. Meanwhile, Chicago went 60% to the under in their last 10 outings. I'm going to lean toward the White Sox plus 1.5 and the under 8.5. Next contest, it is going to be Mets-Cubs, 8:05 East. The New York Mets are minus 140, total 7.5. Carlos Carrasco for New York, Keegan Thompson for Chicago. And even though Thompson's having a good year, the Cubs as a team stink right now. They lost their last 6 straight, and they're playing their worst baseball at Wrigley. As a matter of fact, the Cubs currently have a win percentage of just .369 in the friendly confines. They're also going up against Carlos Carrasco here today on the other side, who's 9-4 on the year with 94 strikeouts. The Mets have also been crushing the baseball this season. They're currently in the top 5 in scoring, top 5 in team batting average. Jeff McNeil's hitting a team-best .311 at the plate. Meanwhile, Pete Alonso's the league leader in RBI with 72. When it comes to the total, the Mets are 26-20 to the over when they bat first. Meanwhile, Chicago's 21-15 to the under against National League opponents at Wrigley. I'm going to lean toward the New York Mets minus 1.5 and the under 7.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Mariners-Rangers, 8:05 Eastern first pitch. Texas is minus 120, totals 8.5. Martin Perez for the Rangers, Marco Gonzalez for Seattle. But despite how hot the Mariners have been, Marco Gonzalez is just 5-9 on the year with a whip above 1.30. So kind of tough to put, this winning streak in the hands of Marco Gonzalez. He certainly struggled this year. And the Mariners still collectively struggle at the dish. They're currently in the bottom 10 in team batting average and runs per game. They're also going up against Martin Perez, who's been a buzzsaw this season. The lefty 7-2 with a 2.72 ERA and a 1.18 whip. Now, he's also backed by a Ranger lineup who can certainly hit the baseball. These guys are in the top 5 in homers, top 10 in runs. Corey Seager is the club leader in homers with 21 of them. He's actually 10th in the bigs in that home run category. Meanwhile, Adolis Garcia is leading the organization in RBI with 51. Now, when it comes to the scoring, Texas went 5-1 to the over in their last 6 at Globe Life Field. They're also 70% to the over in their last 10 outings at any location. Meanwhile, Seattle saw 3 out of their last 4 on the road get over the total. I'm going to lean toward the Rangers minus 120 and the over 8.5. Next contest, it is going to be Astros Angels 807 East. Houston's minus 185, totals 8 runs. Framber Valdez for Houston, Reed Detmers for Los Angeles. Now, Detmers got just 2 wins in 64 innings of work. He also comes into today's ball game with an ERA above 4.20. And even if Detmers ends up throwing a gem, this Angels lineup can't hit for shit anymore. Not only are they striking out more times a game than any other team in the majors, they're also in the bottom 5 in team batting average. They're going up against Framber Valdez, who's 8-4 with a 2.64 ERA and a 1.11 whip. Valdez is also backed by a Houston lineup who can certainly hit for power. These guys are currently in the top 3 in home runs, and they're led by Yordan Alvarez, who's hit 26 round trippers this year. Alvarez is actually 3rd in the majors in home runs, but he's 1st in the league in OPS. Now, total-wise, oddly enough, Houston's 32-15 to the under when they travel. They're also 65% to the under against the AL West. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, the Angels have gone 10-4 to the under in their divisional home games. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Houston minus 1.5 and the under 8 runs. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final free pick for the video. It is going to be Brewers Giants 9:45 East. Now, both teams are minus $1.10, total 6.5. Corbin Burns for Milwaukee, Carlos Rodon for San Francisco. Now, Rodon's 8-5 with 124 strikeouts. The lefty's also got a 2.70 ERA and a 1.06 whip. Meanwhile, as a team, the Giants won 4 out of their last 5, and they average 8 runs a game in those victories. They're taking on a Brewers team who lost 5 out of their last 7 themselves, and they certainly struggle at the dish. These guys are nearly dead last in the National League in strikeouts per game at the plate. They're also in the bottom 10 in the entire league in team batting average. Now, total-wise, the Brewers are 25-18 to the over against NL opponents away from home. Meanwhile, the Giants on the other side are 25-19 to the over at Oracle Park. I'm going to lean toward the Giants minus $1.10 and the over 6.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at patreon.com/BrockPage, where I'm currently 2-0 in my last $2.99 daily best plays. I like Miami minus 175 under 7.5. Give me San Diego minus 135 under 11.5. I like Atlanta minus 1.5 over 9.5 runs. Give me the Yankees minus 1.5 over 8. I like Toronto winning that game outright for some money line cash. Give me Boston plus 105 under 7.5. Give me Detroit plus 1.5 under 8.5. I like the Dodgers minus 1.5 under 9. Give me the White Sox plus 1.5 under 8.5. I like the Mets minus 1.5, under 7.5 runs. Give me Texas minus 120, over 8.5. I like Houston minus 1.5, under 8. With my next and final free pick for the video, I like the Giants minus $1.10 and the over 6.5 runs. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on patreon.com/BrockPage, just keep in mind you're going to get access to that content every single day all the way through the end of July. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And guys, if you want to get access to every single bet, every single package, every single day, you're going to want to sign up for my board member package. Board members get access to everything that I produce on that website. It's an all-inclusive membership. And with that, guys, most importantly, I got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, guys, happy Thursday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.